Salute, family.
Yo, it's definitely the Cloud Chaser TV, man. We back up in this thing again, you dig? Hey, man, we got some special guest in the building, right? And this guest, he gonna break down some history for us. When it comes down to the Detroit scene, and y'all watching a lot of TV now. Y'all see what's going on with the BMF series. So we're gonna talk about the Street Lords. Uh, guest, can you actually introduce yourself for us and let them know where they can follow you?
I'm Streetlord Rook. You can follow me on Instagram, Streetlord Rook. Follow me on Facebook, Streetlord Rook. Follow me on Twitter, Real Streetlord1. Follow me on Clubhouse, Streetlord Rook.
Got you. So when it comes to the history of Detroit, man, like when you think of the history, I just want to off top just what do you think what y'all known for?
Right, more so from getting money and rapping. more so for selling, getting money though.
Got you. Definitely. So I'm gonna take it back with you, man. What era you came up in? The 70s, 80s, 90s?
I was born in the 70s. I would say I came up in the 80s and 90s though.
Okay. So in the 80s, let's talk about the 80s, man. Like you going to school, you a little kid, even going to be a teenager. Like who were you at that time?
Man, I come from like a long line of drug dealers, so like I've seen drugs my whole life, drug abuse. You know what I'm saying? Like my mom she got indicted with John Gotti's brother. She went to trial with the feds and won. So I've been around this lifestyle like my whole life. Ain't nobody in my family, ain't nobody never really had no jobs. It's been all hustling. Like, so that's kind of all I know. I'm trying to break the cycle and show my kids something different. But I went to Man, I went to Lessinger, I went to Cass, I went to Cody. I'm a regular hood. I'm a regular hood nigga. Like I'm from the hood.
Got you, no doubt. So around that era, you said, like just being around the lifestyle, almost born into it. Like, did you have any obstacles at that time? Like, was you trying to stay away from it versus it was coming towards you?
Uh, yeah, you could say I was trying to stay away from it as a kid when I probably didn't understand it, but like my family probably a little dysfunctional. You know what I'm saying? Because I could say my mother, we had even though she passed away, we had like a close relationship. But I remember when I was like the third grade, my mother coming to me asking me if she sold drugs, would I be mad? And I ain't, at the time, I thought drugs were bad, like this your brain on drugs, all the commercials. So I was like, no, mine don't sell drugs, whatever. I wear raggedy shoes, whatever, just don't sell drugs. Unbeknown to me, she was already selling drugs, and that was kind of providing the lifestyle that we was having. But she thought enough of me to ask me. So that's what I knew about it at the time. But later on, my mother, she was a drug abuser also. So I've experienced both sides of it, the good and the bad. So it led me where I don't use drugs. Like I don't smoke or drink. But, in my era, like today's era is totally different. Like it's cool to use drugs and pop pills and get high today where I just sold drugs. Like using drugs was never cool to me.
Got you. And you hustling. Like a lot of times, as a youngster, some guys, they say that they're hustling for like shoes, clothes, cars, things of that nature. Was that like originally what you was hustling for, or what you had other things in mind?
I mean, I always kind of been a hustler. Shit, I had a penny goddamn candy store in my grandma's living room going up. So it's always been about the money with me. Like as I got older, my mom she had went to jail, so it became like it was me and my grandma. So I need some money then. I played ball. I had a scholarship to play ball. But I needed some money then. I ain't had no time to be waiting. So I started first drug I probably started selling was weed. Then I started selling crack. Then I sold heroin. But I always looked at it like I take calculated risks. So if the risk wasn't really worth it, I really wasn't really willing to take it. And then I had an uncle who had got life in prison for selling some bricks. They had the 650-gram law back then. So that discouraged me from selling bricks. So I was just like, well, I'm going to just sell weed. If I get caught with weed, it's going to be a slap on the wrist. So that was kind of like my outlook at the time. So I've sold all drugs, but, my main drug that I sold was marijuana. I sold tons and tons of marijuana.
Got you. And did you get caught? Did you have any contact with the law during this time frame? You first getting in the game?
Man, I never had been arrested, so I got indicted by the federal government. I wasn't. The main thing, I never was really getting caught because I always had good license. That was the main thing. If you had good license, they can't really search your car. I never was taking nobody home. I never really had no problem selling drugs. I was kind of well organized to be so young looking back.
Gotcha. So so now, what I'm saying, like you basically in the game. Is it like, the Streetlords, like far as the name, is it getting out there? How did people come about the name? Was it from the rap? Like you started originally rapping, or was it because of the lifestyle in the streets?
My cousin, he had started the Streetlords. Originally, he had some other guys, and it just didn't work out. So me, they're my cousins. Those like our mothers or sisters. And then like Blade, his daddy, you know what I'm saying, and my mom, they ran together. They was kind of like hustling and getting money. And then like Juan was like Blade homeboy from the east side. So it was all like a family like thing. We all basically kind of knew one another and kind of like grew up together and was exposed to that lifestyle very young, you know what I'm saying? Like we kind of them that was born in the drug dealing. If you go if you ask every street lord, they all damn near come from drug dealers.
No doubt. So like with the impact of the Streetlords, I know we talk about like the BMF. That's what's in the media right now. Like, was it the same impact? Was they around at that time? The 50 Boys.
And like I said this the other day on something else. It's like, man, ain't nobody was talking about no BMF, no 50 Boys or Streetlords was getting no money, man. I ain't hear about the BMF way, so I then was indicted on my way to jail. Not saying that they wasn't getting no money, you know what I'm saying? I don't mean it in a disrespectful manner, but the Streetlords had the streets on lock, not no BMF. I know those guys, but their names wasn't ringing around here. Maybe they was ringing in Atlanta and elsewhere, but I got indicted in 2002. Those guys' name wasn't the names around here that was ringing.
Got you. And like far as like the style of Detroit, like I know that from watching the interviews that you did, past interviews you did, like y'all invented some of that style, like some of the style that comes from Detroit, like with the buffs, the way y'all dress. How did that come about?
All of that. I think it came just being young with a bunch of money. To be honest, like at the time, the first person I seen. This is honest to God, truth. God bless his soul. You know what I'm saying? The first person that I seen put some diamonds and some glasses was Fat Mike. He put his diamonds in his glasses. He was the first person, and then it just became like a trend where that was what we was doing. So prior to that, like the wood Cartiers, like that's gotten popular. We were wearing them glasses in like 96, like 95. So to say I challenge anybody. Go find a picture of somebody in another crew that was rocking Cartier's woods and diamonds in their glasses before 95, 96.
Got you. That's like a Detroit staple to this day, correct?
Yeah, like everywhere you go. That's generally how they know you from Detroit if you got some buffs or some Cardi's on, but I see it's kind of branching out now, other people picking up on it. Yeah, but we started doing that. That was just really having fun. Like we'd be losing them glasses on the regular, going to get more.
Got you. So like, let's talk about like, so you did get indicted by the feds, like you said, that was the first time. So like, what was going through your mind? Like, you not even being arrested before, you know, having to go to a county jail or anything like that. Then you facing federal time, lots of years, right? And they said that you had accumulated how much money?
They said we made 40 million in like a 10-month span. So I honestly, like when things started going left, I had moved to VA, so I was living in Virginia. And the feds, they had kind of like went to my mom's crib to like let her know to try to get me to come surrender. So I mean, I had businesses at the time, so it wasn't like I was. Granted, I had never been caught with anything, or so I didn't know how the feds really work. So I hired the attorney. His name was Neil Rockhine. I had Neil Rockhine, Mark Krieger, and this lady named Margaret Rayburn. So they were like this group of attorneys, and I had so much business going on where I had to close the company. We had did like 4 million in sales. So it was like I wasn't running. I ain't did nothing at the time. This is how I was start thinking it worked. So I flew in from Virginia. Me and my mom went to self-surrender at the federal building, and they gave me a personal bond. So it wasn't like, it just told me I can't never go back to Arizona. You know, that was the thing. And then I was out on bond, awaiting sentencing, what was going on, to see what was happening. And they kind of like pushed our case back because the bombing that had happened. But other than that, I ain't know too much about the feds and how the feds work. I just was rapping about that shit. I was really kind of naive to how that worked. I had a stepdad in the feds, but I didn't know about conspiracy and how that law worked because I had never been caught. I had never been in jail.
Gotcha. So did you end up beating this case, or what ended up happening with
No, hell no. I got 57 months. I got 57 months in federal prison for conspiracy to distribute marijuana. I did almost 4 years, like 47 months, 46 months and some days for distributing marijuana. I had the judge Avery Cohen. He down there was the nicest federal judge down there. I think he just retired. He might be down there be almost 100 years old. So he gave everybody on the case as less time as he could give them. And that's how that shit tuned out.
Gotcha. So then, like, so now when you come home, you start to push the music more, and that's when you got into the movies.
No, honestly, I was shooting movies. I had shot this movie called Envy with Ray J, Lisa Ray, the rapper AZ, Chico DeBarge. Before I even went to the feds, I spent $2 million on doing that before I even went in. So that was my first movie that I ever was involved in. Yeah, so that was the first movie. So I kind of always been into like movies and clothes. I would just say like I'm like an artist because I've been doing artsy shit since I was a kid. But when I came home, I really wasn't focused on music. I do a record here and there. I go to the studio. It's more like a hobby. But I was more focused on getting myself back together and just trying to show my kids something different when I came home from the feds. Like I always knew what I was gonna do, but it's just like priorities. I had other priorities first.
So did so when did you start like taking the movie thing real, like heavy and shit? Because I know you got a few movies on Amazon, right?
I got one movie on Amazon right now, one more flip, but I got like 4 movies done. So the movie One More Flip, I probably wrote that when I first came home. I wrote it with one individual, and his name was Stanley Bridges. And then things ain't go how I wanted them to go at that time in my life. Things weren't going where had time to just sit down and focus on movie shit. And so later on, when I got my shit together, I wound up getting another young guy. He kind of rewrote it and did some corrections to it, to the original script. And that's what the script that we shot. So that, honestly, this wasn't an overnight process. Like, that's been in the making for probably 10 years, 10, 12 years.
Dope. You think it's a lot of money in movies today? More than like, the traditional, way people used to do it with the mixtapes and put them out and like things like that?
Yeah, it's tons of money in movies. You gotta think, movies last 30, 40 years. You gotta think somebody's still getting a check for Sanford. Somebody's still getting a check for Scarface. And those Minister Society, somebody's still getting a check for these movies. So movies ain't going nowhere. It's definitely an intellectual property worth having. So yeah, I think movies is a good investment if you got a way to market the movie and get it out to the public. I definitely feel like that.
Dope. Ghost, you got some questions
yeah,
for us that you
man.
want to put on the table?
Yeah, most definitely, man. What I want to ask you starting off, Rook, is like, when you got indicted and shit, like, how did the indictment start? How did they get on y'all from the beginning?
First, I think the truck got hit. Either the truck had got caught with like 2 million first, or it had got caught with like 5,000 pounds, or it was vice versa. I don't even remember to this day, but that was like the start of it. Like, the truck got hit with like 5,000 pounds. No, first the 2 million got hit. Then later after that, almost 5,000 pounds of weed got knocked. And when the 5,000 pounds of weed got knocked, the truck driver decided to cooperate and set up a sting. And then they wound up arresting like 13, 14 people. And then it was like a trickle down effect. So that's what happened. They caught the fat 4,800 pounds of weed. And the truck driver decided to cooperate. That was the problem.
Yeah, I see that's kind of like based off the movie. It's kind of like based off your life then, because in the movie Marco, he didn't get he didn't have no criminal record. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, but no, that movie One More Flip is 100% fiction. It has nothing to do with my case of nobody.
Oh no! I ain't mean it like that. I was just saying that, like, how Marco didn't have no jail time. Like, parts of it, you know what I'm saying? It's about you a little bit,
But I'm being honest with you. Like, that's just an imaginary story. That don't got nothing to do with me at all. Like,
right.
That ain't. It's just an imaginary story. Like, you can apply it to me, but that I wasn't in mind or in thought when that was even being thought about. Like, that ain't had nothing to do with me or my case. Now, I got some other movies that got some implementations of me and my story, but that's not one. That's just a fictional story that probably a lot of people can relate to, and that may be why it's doing so well. Like, we had the #1 movie on Amazon for a few weeks in a row out of all the movies on there. I don't mean like #1 independent movie. We had the #1 movie over Amazon specials. I Know What You Did Last Summer and some other things.
Will it be a part 2?
No, we're going to probably let that one go. I got a few more other ideas that I think people would like that's done and others that we're working on. I don't want it to be like, oh, they did part two, but part two didn't live up to part one, you know. So I want to just leave that where it be, and let the people. Hopefully, we made a classic where people can be talking about it for a long time.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you made a classic with that one because I watch a lot of Detroit movies, you know what I'm saying? And when I started watching that, like that's the mind frame I was in when it first came on. But as I started watching it, like even, you know, from the way you shot it and the way it got a bunch of different plot twists in it, like I wasn't expecting, like usually when I'm watching a Detroit movie, I can tell what's about to happen. And in that movie, like you threw niggas with a lot of loops in that motherfucker, bro.
Thanks, man. I mean, I try not to put myself in a box and make like a Detroit movie. Like that stigma to say I'm in a Detroit movie. Because honestly, the guy who shot the movie, he shoot Power, he shoot Empire. So I wouldn't say my project would be a Detroit movie because the same guy that shoot the BMF and all of those movies are like friends of mine. Like my very first movie on the movie Envy, those guys who shoot those shows today worked on Envy. So today they've came to work for me, and we've got alliances and partnerships for them to create and work with me to create films. So we have a quality like on TV, you know. So I don't want to be in that pigeonhole to make it that's a Detroit movie. I want to be considered a filmmaker no different than Martin Scorsese or Hype Williams when he did Belly, you know, Dame Dash and how they did Paid in Full. Nobody say that's a New York movie or that's a New York movie. They just say that's a movie. So I understand that it's a Detroit film wave, but I'm not trying to pigeonhole myself in that box to be like, oh, I'm a Detroit movie.
Right, yeah, I feel you on that. So with this next movie you're doing now, do you have a name for it already?
I got the Cheddar Boy movie that's done. I got another movie called Off the Porch that's done. Got a movie called Surprise that's done. And then we're about to start production on a movie called 5 Minutes that I'm going to be posting about the casting and getting the production crew together. So I look to start shooting 5 Minutes sometimes in November. And I look to have the release of the Cheddar Boy movie end of November, early December. So I'm just working, staying busy.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. What about would you ever think about doing a series, like a series on your life or something? Because this is what I see, like with your story, it's so unique because with that indictment you had, with that amount, with the Fed saying y'all made that amount of money in 10 months off of marijuana, you don't hear that much. Like you hear a lot of indictments about coke and shit like that, but you don't really hear the stories about the marijuana like that. That shit real intriguing to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got 2 series in the making. I'm gonna do a series called The Lord. So it'll be the real story of the Lord, like a real story, you know what I mean? So people will really know what happened. They'll really know what it was like. They'll leave the movie feeling like, oh, I know what Blade was like. I know what Juan is like. I know what Rook is like based on the movie and the moves we make and how we do it. But I probably won't get that done for the next year or so. Like, because I don't want to just do it just to say I did it. I want to be able to do it and do it right. So,
right. So with the music, are you kind of like, I know you said you kind of do that as a hobby. Are you kind of like really kind of swaying away from that and just leaving it as a hobby and just strictly focus on the film and the TV and things like that? Or, you know, can we expect to hear some music from you being released?
I got a new project coming out right now. I just was on the phone earlier today with payroll and about this clearance. Because the video is out. We did this record, me, payroll, that's how I called old trustees. So the video out is doing okay. But I got another project, the soundtrack for One More Flip. It's like my new album. So it'll be out in the next week or two. Hope, Lord, depending on how this clearance thing go. I know we're gonna get the clearance, but I don't know how fast they're gonna send the clearance back over. So. But all of the music that you heard in One More Flip, that's all my new music. There's some old songs in there. It's only 2 songs in there that's not mine, and there's 2 solid songs. All the rest of the music and throughout One More Flip is all my music. So yeah, I got some great stuff on the way. I think it's different, so people will be surprised by it.
Whose song was that at the beginning of the movie when you and the dude that played, I think his name was Eric, at the beginning, it was playing a song when y'all was in the car riding to go do that?
That was Solid Record. That's Slide.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Solid Record.
Dope.
So when you casting for your new film that you're about to do, when you start this casting, you was just speaking about, what are you gonna be looking for as far as, like, I know you're gonna get some actors and actresses that's already had experience, but like, what if somebody new wants to come and try to be in one of your movies? What would you be looking for in them?
Man, talent. Listen, I'm gonna tell you this, bro. I ain't on favoritism. I ain't on popularity. Whoever coming up casting and read that shit the best, that's who I go with. Like, ain't no characters ever been picked like, oh, this the person gonna get this role. I don't never know who the character is gonna be. Whoever come in and do their thing, that's who gets the job, bro. It ain't nothing personal. I'm running a business. I'm trying to make the best quality product. So the more people come out, that's who get the job. I'll be honest. I just did a film called Off the Porch. It got Payroll and it got Snapdog in it. Crystal the Doll in the movie. But there's one particular, the guy that's the main star of the movie, he walked in. I mean, he came to that audition for Cheddar Boys, and he didn't do well. But for him coming, I kind of gave him a role in the movie. He had a very minor role. I don't even think he said nothing in Cheddar Boys. But when he came back, I mean, he blew the room away, and he the star of the movie, of the Off the Porch movie. So it had nothing to do with a favorite, somebody was picked. Man, it's all about who come in there and perform the best. I don't really care about the other part. It's all business to me. Best person win.
So it's no favoritism. It's more organic.
It's all organic. Ain't no favoritism. If you good, I'm gonna find a space for you. Like, I can't tell you everybody gonna be the lead role, because it's only each film got a certain amount of characters. What I can say, the best of the characters gonna be who do the best that day of that cast are gonna be in the movie. It ain't nothing personal. It's business.
Salute, Chuck. I just want to say this to Rock, man. How you feel about J-Bo coming out at Blue Da Vinci, homie?
Honestly, I haven't even followed up much on that. Like, I don't. They business is their business. I really don't care about that. I'm more about positivity. Whatever they got going on, hopefully they work it out. Hopefully they can figure it out. You know what I mean?
Do you like the show? You like the show? You like how like 50 of them is doing the show and all that? They doing it right, or you think it need a little more touch up on it?
I mean, that might be their story. That's something I don't know. No, I wasn't there. I'm not part of the BMF ordeal. But I think, I mean, they got 50 Cent got a budget, so the shit, he can do whatever the fuck he want to do. You know what I mean? So if that's how he telling the story, that's what he think is best to put out to the public. Granted, it might got some sugar on it to make it TV friendly or make it more entertaining. Yeah. But you know.
Now I feel you. I feel you. I absolutely feel you on that. You know, I mean, you know, entertainment is entertainment. You know, they're gonna have to put some fake shit in it.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, hats off to them guys, man. I wish them the best, you know. But no, I own all my shit. I hate to say it like that. It might sound arrogant,
I
might
feel
sound
you.
raw.
Nah, I don't sound arrogant, my nigga. It sound independent, nigga. That's what it sounds
Right,
like.
for sure.
Stars don't own none of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, Stars ain't gave me no money. You know
Would you be up for a deal
this
like
all,
that though? Like if they did come to you and say, look, you know, you see what type of business they into and what they putting on their network, and they say we want you on there as well. Would you be open to it?
depending on if the money was right. I ain't open to it if they own the shit and I don't own it. No, I'm be honest with you. If the money, like, I understand business and I understand the film business probably a lot better than a lot of other people because I know film is going to be around for the next 30 years. So I'm not willing to sell my artwork or my intellectual property for a small amount of money. Because I know this shit going to be making money for the next 30 years. So you got to pay me like it's going to make money for the next 30 years.
For sure. Cash question?
Sure.
You know, I'm from Saginaw, man. With this entertainment shit, you think we seeing the transition from the South being on top to the Midwest starting to make its way on top?
Man, I think it just all boils down to who making good music, man, really. I don't think good music is good music. Like, I'm a firm believer in if you make good music, you make good music. The people gonna gravitate to you. So that's where it's at with me. Like, I don't care where you from. If somebody pop up some shit that's good, they could be from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. They're gonna be like, that song good. Or if a person makes some shit that's fire and they from North Dakota, motherfucker gonna rock to the good music. They ain't gonna be like, oh, he's from North Dakota. We don't rock with that. Good music is good music. I mean, nobody on this thing gotta like motherfucker Old Town Road. But that motherfucker came out with Old Town Road. That shit was a hit. And nobody cared about him. Nobody really was talking about him until he started saying he was gay.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So, good music wins out, man.
Absolutely, bro.
Let me ask you a question, man. I saw in one of your interviews, man, where you said basically when you was doing your marijuana business, it was more just logistics. So, you know, you would be able to run something like a Ford or something like that. With the marijuana laws changing right now, do you think it's going to be opportunities for brothers, you know, who lived a different life in the past and be able to start running bigger companies like that, like a Ford or something like that, when they have a background of logistics or something in weed or anything like that?
I doubt very seriously, me being 100% honest, that Ford would give a convicted felon a job of running their company. Do I think there'll be opportunities in the marijuana industry for African American males and women who've been convicted of selling marijuana? Sure. They got opportunities and programs like that now that we should be taking advantage of if we qualify. But it's that's kind of rigged too, because I know about it. I've applied for it because they want you to have X amount of dollars to be able to get these licenses and these grow operations to make it functional. So I think it's there for you, but I think it's unfavorable for the people in our community to come up with $500,000, the money that they're asking to have available for some of these facilities and licenses and the things that you'll need to get going. So I think there's opportunity. How it works out, I like to see. I was actually on a conference call yesterday with a judge and an attorney about it. So, I mean, Sure, I think we'll get some opportunities. Do I think we'll get the opportunities we deserve? No.
Pete Game, my cousin just got approved to open one in Saginaw. He black. They gave him a discount on fees and everything.
Yeah, they offering that around here too. So I'm familiar with that.
I think you gotta have been to the joint for that shit though.
Yeah, I've been convicted. I've been convicted. Yeah, only felony, only thing I have on my record is a marijuana felony. So I definitely am in tune with it. They got different classifications of these laws and dispensaries and different things. So I don't know which one your cousin was able to get. But for the large one, they want you to have a ton of money.
Yeah, I think that's their way of trying to keep black people up out of it. I think they're trying to make it like, okay, we got this available for y'all, but they know the stipulations they got. A lot of people ain't gonna qualify. You know
that is 1,000% correct. If you look at the qualifications for those licenses, what you just said is 1,000% correct. The criteria that they're asking for is going to eliminate a ton of people.
Yeah, because I was talking to I used to live in California before I moved to New York, and I was talking to a guy who owned a dispensary in Sacramento who was going to go into business, but he was just telling me like, he a white dude at that. You know what I'm saying? I've been dealing with him for years, and he was telling me like, man, the amount it costs and what they got you going through to open the dispensaries now is crazy. He was saying some shit like $1 million to get it all the way right. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And he was saying like, you know, like 10, 12 years ago, it was easy to open a dispensary. Now they done made it real hard. They done made it a lot harder than it was before.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like anything with black. Once blacks kind of find out about it and start taking advantage of the opportunity, they try to close some of the so-called loopholes or the way it used to be did. So and it's kind of like an uphill battle, man, with anything with us. So I just say just keep grinding and keep laying the foundation, and eventually it'll happen. But nobody gonna give us nothing.
I think a good way is invest too in the market for now, because I believe in the future it's gonna really get bigger. It just started, and it's like going through transition. But if you invest in some shares and getting shares on the market, it's gonna pay off in like 5 to 10 years. I believe it will.
I think right now the market's real iffy to play with. I think right now, it's not the best time to play with the market, especially if you don't know, unless you know exactly what you're doing,
If you know what you're doing, you won't be playing if you got financial knowledge.
Oh, definitely, certainly. I just feel that right now our whole country is going through a lot of financial uncertainties.
No doubt.
Still gotta invest.
We got Juan, you got a question? Anybody in the audience right now, if you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. We'll pull you on the stage. Anyone on the stage got a question?
Yeah, I want to ask. I'm trying to get into film myself, and I want to ask, what do you do when you don't have a team around you?
When you don't have a team?
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna be able to make a film without a team, brother.
I don't mean like a team like actors. I mean like like I can hire people to do certain stuff, but I mean like the people in your corner who help like for free. Well, what do you do when the people you expect to support don't support?
Man, you gotta find somebody. First, that's the first step before you even set out to try to do it, man, is build a team of people who believe in the project and the process. That's more important than anything, because starting without a team, it's kind of like it ain't gonna work. Like, you gotta find some people that's dedicated, that believe in the process and the project to get it to work. Like, there's no way I could have done this by myself. Even with Like sometimes money ain't always the thing, though. You know, there's a lot of people who have money that make bad products. You know what I'm saying? So you got to get a good team to make it work before anything. Like this, what I believe.
And when it comes to like distributing material without that major deal, do you find that difficult?
Man, they have all type of companies that'll help distribute. Like, so I even got a distribution company where I distribute people's film if I like the quality. So it's really just trying, man. Like, as long as you're trying to do something and you believe in yourself, you can do anything. But you got to get your team together to make that happen. Like, I wouldn't say you
I got a
can't.
bunch of lazy folks around me, man. I got to hire folks.
All right, hire them. Like, you'll be surprised who will come work and help out on a project once you get them to believe. And they'll come work for a minimum of nothing. You might need to play some ads and run some ads, make some posts on Instagram to see who in your community is interested in it. I'm 1,000% for certain.
Yeah, I got a bunch of people that want to watch, but I don't got the motherfuckers who serious about actually sitting their ass down and getting to it. You feel me? So I like to hire outside help from outside of my circle.
Oh yeah, I ain't say use your friends. Now you can't use your friends or your family for nothing.
You know, that's kind of what I was getting at. I guess I should have been there from the jump.
Man, if you make a post and say what you looking for, it's gonna be some people. I don't know how many followers you got or whatever or whatnot, but it's gonna be some people who reach out to you. If not, just run an ad. Spend $100.
Decent. I got like a 10 or a little bit over a 10. That's why I say I got people who want to watch. But I know, the best way for me to get help is always the outsiders, man. My circle just feel like, since your man's already closed, we ain't gotta do shit no more.
My advice would be, don't hire no friends, run an ad, and hire people just like you would be. If you ran McDonald's, you ain't gonna hire your friends. You gonna put a help wanted sign in there. And when people come in, you're gonna screen them and make them fill out the application.
Do you get the flack from that? Like when you don't hire your friends, do you get the fuck that nigga, he ain't from the hood no more type vibe?
No, but I don't give a fuck about that shit. Even if I did,
that's what I was gonna say. How you? Yeah, me. That's how I am, man. I mean, shit. Once it's fuck me, it's just fuck me. What you gonna do?
Hey, what? Man, you gotta have tough skin in this business, and any type of business that you putting out for the public, you ain't gonna always be perceived or have people happy with you. So
that's facts. It's more so likely. I agree with you there.
So if anybody was to open a dispensary, it's best to own the property.
Yeah, if you want to be there long term, because what happens if the person decides to sell?
Yo, if you want
to, that's the message I want you to get out there. If my business fail, all the money that I spent putting into this building, the landlord can say he don't want me to take that out the building, and I won't be able to because it's his property. So he'll be able to get more rent for what I didn't put in there and lost all. So if he wishes to lease it out or rent the place out again.
Something I ain't hear nobody touch on, man. A lot of people don't realize you can buy into a lot of them companies.
What companies?
Like the people who already got those licenses and stuff. You can. It's a way. Spots online that sell companies, sell businesses for a living. Like Biz Buy Sell and things of that nature. And if you look on a lot of them, they'll have positions where you can buy into, it's a cheaper route, because I mean that that big permit is expensive, but for people who just don't mind taking You know, I know you want to do your own thing. I know you wouldn't, but you know, some people just want to slide in.
I mean, yeah. I mean, people got to do whatever whatever they got to do to make it work for themselves. So I ain't opposed to whatever it takes to get to wherever you trying to go. That's the way to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's situation ain't the same, and I understand that. But if it's getting you in a situation where you can change or better yourself, man, go for it.
Yes, sir. Good talking to you, brother.
All right.
Kim, Phoenix, Queen of Attraction. You have any questions?
Hey, I do have one question. It's a little bit off topic, but I am curious to know if you could go back to maybe your 15-year-old self. Is there any advice you would give to the younger, former version of yourself?
You said my 15-year-old self?
Yeah, around 15, we'll say.
Have a little more patience. I was an athlete, so at 15, I was playing ball. I probably thought I was going to the pros at that age. But upon getting close to the graduation, our financial situation wasn't the best. So I could have, I had friends that I had probably 11 or 12 friends that I played ball with. The majority that I knew wasn't better than me that went on to play professional football. Some went and played professional basketball. The only difference between me and those guys was they stuck it out. So I probably would have more patience. But I think in anything in life, you get out what you put in. So that's what I teach my kids today. Don't take the shortcuts. You get out what you put in. So that's and I got my oldest kid graduated Michigan State. I got another daughter at Michigan State. I got a daughter at Stanford. So no shortcuts. That's normally my slogan. You get out what you put in and don't take the shortcut. Because the shortcut end up being a long way around.
Every time. If you don't mind me asking though, one more question. Do you have any regrets about your indictment?
Regrets?
Like, what would you, I'm going to rephrase that. What would you do differently?
I wouldn't have probably sold it. If I had to do it all over again with what I know today, I probably wouldn't sell drugs. And I say that because I made millions of dollars selling drugs, but I'm intelligent enough to make millions of dollars doing something else. Like, drugs was a shortcut to me because, I mean, I would have figured it out if I decided to do something else.
I can't say that I don't agree because I feel subject to that same role. Like, I ain't get indicted before I quit, but, you know, and I ain't quite make nowhere near that much money, but I can definitely say it was a shortcut. It kind of felt like I was only doing it just because it was a vice or something to take my mind off of me not knowing how to do nothing else.
But here's the thing, and this is what I think people get sidetracked and people don't value. Like, selling drugs is hard. Like, that shit is hard, it's stressful, and it's a lot of motherfucking work.
It's a business.
So if you put that same energy, because you gotta think, people be on the block, people be hustling for years and years and years and years and years. Imagine if you put all them years into something else.
Yeah,
motherfuckers could be doctors. If you put all the time most people put into being a drug dealer, they could be lawyers, they could be doctors. It's so much other stuff that you can be if you just put your mind or wrap your brain around doing something different.
Respect. Personally, I didn't get it until I started, you know, trying to research the credit thing. Nothing else was for me. But I found a way, like, you know, instead of doing bullshit credit or whatever, like, if you legit build your business, there's so many more opportunities you can have other than just going to school. Like people always say, go to school, go to school. And man, I'm a big advocate for that. Shit ain't for everybody.
Yeah, I think school is just for networking. You know, like I tell my kids, go to school, find out, network, meet the smartest people, so you can hire them to run your business. No different than Facebook or any other country.
It's a hospital here in my city, man, and a motherfucker own it that ain't got no college education, but he got a whole lot of doctors working for him. And I always look at that like,
hey, bro, I own 3 medical facilities right now. That's what I do for a living. And doctors work. I used to respect doctors. You know, when you were a kid, you taught damn near like doctors and lawyers is something prestigious. And they both work for me. I deal with doctors and lawyers. I talk to them every day, all day long. This ain't no disrespect to no doctor or lawyer, but a doctor is only smarter than me in the human anatomy, and that's because that's what they study.
Yes, sir.
A lawyer is only smarter than me in law because that's what he studied.
It's a very thin line between, common sense and and smarts. Because a lot of these people who got book smarts have no common sense, and they don't know anything but that subject, like you said, because they spend all their time studying that. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't work for that company no more. And this was at least about 6-7 years ago, maybe a little longer. But when I was in the drug world, some of my biggest clients were doctors.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure. They had a hang up. Like, they human beings. Like, everybody had a vices. Everybody human. So
no doubt.
It's a lot of doctors who get high. It's a lot of attorneys who get high. It's a lot of judges who get high.
Yes, sir, for sure.
I had another question for you, Rook. I forgot to ask you. Before you got indicted and shit like that, when y'all was doing the music, did y'all have a deal? Was y'all doing everything independently? And who was some of the artists that y'all worked with, artists and producers that y'all worked with?
I mean, we had deal offers that we turned down because we was making so much money, but we've done songs with everybody. Baby, Juvie, Spice One, Too Short, E40, Be Legit, Benny Siegel, Freeway, Mario Winans, Carl Thomas, Stevie J, Shine, Royce the 5'9". I mean, we've done songs with some of everybody. Capone and Nori. That's a list. But it was all of that was independent. But yeah, labels were trying to give us deals at the time. But a lot of us not taking a deal and having a bunch of money might have been like a gift and a curse, because not taking a deal, to me, looking back, we could have taken a bad deal and got in the door and renegotiated, and nobody probably never would have went to jail. And then it might have just been a little naive and arrogance from having so much money to not take the deal. But, it's all learning experiences.
Yeah, just be stepping stones, man.
Yeah. So I don't got no regrets in that aspect, but I just think I'm intelligent enough to figure out another way to make money than go to jail. That's my personal opinion.
Anybody who can successfully run a narcotics company can successfully run any kind of company. I promise you.
Oh yeah, I'm a firm believer in that, because, and I say this, like, I've gotten a lot of calls, DMs about my comments where I said I could have ran GM or Ford, and people like, "Oh, you could have did that because this, and this." But a lot of it I don't get into it and go back and forth with. But I can tell you this for sure: the person who ran Ford ain't started no company from ground up and make no $40 million. So he can't say what I can do. You know what I mean?
Guaranteed.
The people who run Ford, who they hire to be CEOs, they didn't start off running
Cloud Chaser
big
TV.
companies.
Gang.
A lot of them probably started off alone.
Nah. They ain't started
Right about that. A lot of those CEOs, they just be having like degrees and be done work for other companies, but none of them be done built their own company up.
That's my whole point. So
it's big to buy and sell business.
No doubt. No
yeah,
doubt.
man.
Kims, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Hi, everybody in the chat. I have a question. Because I know you probably seen all these rappers dealing with these federal cases. Now, my question is, fighting a federal case compared to a state case, is it true that the feds can use hearsay against you rather than the state having evidence against you?
Yeah, I went to jail solely on hearsay. I never was arrested, never in trouble. I'll say this. The government is not fair. The justice system is not fair. It's because it's ran by human beings. So the individual who gets caught for the crime, he gonna be lying, saying it ain't him, he ain't do it, to get out of trouble. And then you're gonna have the police, the government, they're gonna be lying like hell to get a conviction. So it's never gonna be a fair situation. So yes, the government does bullshit to send African Americans, Spanish people to jail. They lie, they steal, they do a lot of BS. So I've never had a state case, so I really can't say nothing about a state case. I've never had one. I've only had a federal conviction, a federal case. But is it fair? Is it real? No, it's not fair. They lie. You don't have a jury of your peers. It's just a messed up system.
I try every day to figure out what we can do to just get everybody out the streets and into something more positive for the youth, because I feel like that's they run the country. Really, they our future. So I feel like if we teach the youth better young, then maybe, hopefully they get a second chance or first chance even. Because a lot of us wasn't offered that.
I think a lot of it has to do with education. I think it has to do with fathers in the home. I think it has to do with structure. Anywhere there's no structure, no fathers, and lack of education, it causes lack of finances, lack of adequate finances that leads to illegal activity and poverty. So that's where it starts.
Do you think the 40 million in a 10-month span that the Fed said, do you think that was an accurate amount?
Yeah, I think it was probably fairly accurate. It's not like one person made the $40 million. So
no. I know what you mean, but the whole organization as a whole. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it's fairly accurate. And it could have been a little less. It was close. It's fairly accurate though. Like I said earlier, I don't know if you weren't here the whole time, but they caught a truckload of like 4,800 pounds. So those truckloads were coming in every week, so it's pretty fair.
Did you ever have, like, in your mind, did you ever have a set amount that you was like, when I get to this amount, I'm gonna stop, or would you just run?
Yeah, everybody do. 10,000. Start off at 5,000. Like, yeah, when I make 5,000, I'm quick. It goes like, when I make 10, then it's 20, then it's 50, and then just keep going. When I get 10 million, I'm gonna quit. So yeah, everybody has that, but it's just not how the drug game works. I'll give you this example, and this is what I think. Everybody understands, like, the pimp and the hooker, how the pimp the girl to go get the money and she bring him back the money. But the drug business is like the pimp and the hooker. And the drugs become the pimp and the individuals become the hooker because they be addicted to chasing the money. So they got to keep getting the money, keep getting the more. So the money becomes the pimp, and hustler becomes the hooker. That's just how it is.
Well spoken.
Dope.
Naya, you got a question for us? You got a question for Rook, Naya?
Yeah. Because I was looking at your page and I saw that like you're have filmmaker background, and just to talk to you, just even your ideology that you just spoke about, I could tell like you were real, you that real one. So like, how do you feel about these documentaries and episodes and films that come out depicting real life stories on people who really went to jail for these things, like with the narco situation, and how they really went in depth to even go down to those locations to film, and all the deaths that happened beyond that, or just even like with right now with the title being BMF and this title, but right now the BMF episodes happening, and they actually use Big Meech's son to play him. Like, what do you think about that?
I think Hollywood are vultures or culture vultures. It's about money with the big house. They do it all for money. I just so happen to be locked up with the dude, the real Boston George. Like, he slept like a few beds from me, and I talked to him on a regular, and he didn't get one dime for the movie Blow, not one nickel. But most people don't. Yeah, I'm dead.
His family got anything?
No, he didn't get one dime for that. What most people don't understand is all of this stuff is public information. Right? You can go to the federal courthouse and you can pull up court records on anybody that you're willing to pay for. It's all there.
Justia.com.
What you say?
They got Justia and Westlaw on the internet. You can just look it up on there.
Yeah, you can pull up anybody's case, their plea agreement. It's all public information. So if you look at most of these stories, when they come on, it say based on a true story or based on similar true events. So it's nothing that's never 100% factual. But anybody can do these stories, Like, that's why if you think about it, it might be 15 Tupac documentaries. Some his family might be approving of. I'm sure it's a bunch of they don't. It's umpteen Malcolm X documentaries. Like, people look at stuff where they can capitalize on it and figure out how they can try to capitalize on it. So Netflix didn't care nothing, but they don't care nothing about Pablo one bit. The Pablo family ain't got one nickel out of that.
You think that's what caused some of those killings that happened down here with the crew?
No, I think in those areas where they tried to probably go reenact, there's probably a lot of still drug activity going on, and they just didn't want them people around. Like, I've been in the hills in Mexico. Like, I've bought drugs from the Mexican drug cartel, so it's different down there. Like, it's totally different. So, no, I don't think those people. Maybe some of those people did offend some people down there, but they may have been in some areas they shouldn't have been in, and that happens anywhere. When people be in neighborhoods they shouldn't be in, there's known violent area or known gang territory, bad stuff happen. So that's how I look. It's unfortunate. That's probably what happened.
Edward, you got a question for us? We can't hear you. What you say, my boy?
Hello.
Yeah, you got to probably come back in. Come back in. Sorry about that, man. Just go out and come back in. But who's the Applejacks? Applejacks, you got any questions for him?
Nah, I'm listening in the background right now, to be honest.
Javi.
Nah, I'm all the way good, my brother. I'm just soaking it all in.
Gotcha.
It's a fact, I do enjoy everything that I'm learning right now.
So let me ask you a question. Like, we was talking about a lot of different things, and I know the conversation went in different levels. When it comes to like the Bitcoin thing and like different investing in the stock market, do you encourage that to the youth, or even some of your peers?
Sure, I made a ton of money in Bitcoin, so sure, I encourage crypto trading. Sure, I think, like I say, education is key. It doesn't have to be school education, but if you educate yourself in different realms, you'll be successful for sure. So I definitely think I trade the stock market, so I definitely think investing is great. I learned about the stock market while I was in federal prison, so I definitely think it's great. Crypto, stocks, futures, forex, I think all of it's good.
I agree. It's true.
I think people should learn how to read the charts and when to buy and buy on dips. It's a strategy to it, but it's not impossible to learn.
Absolutely.
Worth it. It is good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only issue I feel with that is when they play with it too much. They start they control everything. Like, look what happened with GameStop, where they just decided, you know what, you can't buy anymore, you can't sell anymore.
That's one share. You got so many other things out there to invest in.
It was with multiple shares. It wasn't just GameStop. It happened with multiple.
Yeah, but you got to read and keep up with the news and know what you're doing and know that it's a shutdown. So it's a lot of things that's going to take off that didn't, and now things are going back to transition. Those are mean stocks. So you got to know what you're doing and get some financial knowledge, but not to invest is the wrong thing to do. That's what the biggest mistake is, not to invest.
If you look at the stock market over the last 50 years, the stock market is always in an upward trend. So the thing will be put your money in and leave it in for long term, and you'll constantly make money. If you look at the stock market realistically, it's not no crashing. It may do a correction, but nobody gonna just lose all their money who knows or understands investing in the stock market. That's a myth that they say you can lose all your money. Technically, if you know what you're doing, you'll never lose all your money. That's a myth.
Investing is the best. That's the trend to follow, not clothes and stuff. The thing with companies, you read up on it, what you invest in, and when you see something is happening, you could take your money out and invest into another place. You don't have to fall in love with one share. It's like Snoop Dogg. You don't have to love every hoe. You can invest and get what you're getting out of it and move on to the next one. But not to invest is a big mistake. Like crypto, it's been shot down like 10, 12 times. And I still encourage people to invest. So not to invest is a big mistake.
Yeah. When I got into Bitcoin, it was like $600.
Yeah, Ethereum is my favorite coin now, so that should be one that people look at.
You only lose when you sell. Not always.
No doubt. Hey man, this was a dope conversation, man. I really appreciate you coming through and blessing us with this knowledge, as well as you know, just being around your spirit, it seemed like, man, you got good energy, brother. Like real talk. And I think that
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
With this audio, this video that we putting out, I think it's gonna touch a lot of people, man. Put some things in perspective for them.
Thanks, man. It's all love, man. Anytime.
Yeah, appreciate you coming out, bro. I really appreciate you coming out, man. You got right back to us in the DM and, you know, made it happen, man. You're a man of your word, and you came through and dropped a lot of jewels on us, man.
Man, that's important to me, being a man of my word. That's super important, man.
Appreciate you, my brother.
Anytime, man.
Salute.
Definitely. All right, thanks.
Salute to you, my brother.
Thanks. Already appreciate it.
Please, thank you. Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you for that.
Good night, guys. Good night.
All right.